This is the best dialogue scene in all of anime. If you don't recognize the scene, then click away immediately, as the show responsible for this masterpiece of a scene is Attack on Titan, specifically the ending. Watching this scene was one of the most tragic, loving, and bittersweet sequences of events that I've ever seen as a viewer. A roller coaster of emotions so powerful that it went over most people's heads. My eyes were practically glued to the screen, and I had to use my full brain power to pay attention to every word in the subtitles to understand it. But once I did, it hit me. And it hit me hard. The perfect storm of every emotion, coupled with the heart-crushing dialogue, an amazing soundtrack, and guttural voice acting performances all blended to give me a viewing experience I will never forget.
It was perfect.
So, how do they do it? Well, if you haven't seen or aren't caught up with the show, please click away. This video contains quite possibly the biggest spoilers in the whole show, as Attack on Titan reaches its long-awaited finale after a 10-year-long anime run. I don't even care that I'm losing views, I'm trying to save you, man. With the finale, Attack on Titan is on all of our minds. And recency bias aside, Aaron's conversation with Armin in the ocean is the greatest dialogue scene in all of anime. But what makes this scene so great? Well, first, in order to have the greatest dialogue scene of all time, you need to be one of the greatest animes of all time. And with a heart-crushing but fitting finale, Attack on Titan solidified itself as not one of the greatest animes of all time, but one of the greatest fictional stories ever told. From the symbolism to the stunning action sequences to the character and world building. But what makes this scene so special is the fact that the whole point of the series is riding on it. The grand explanation and resolve to the most tragic, diabolical scheme in fiction. Mass genocide. I'm of course going to explain it, and even if you've already seen it, the way it was portrayed in both the manga and anime can be confusing, as it's a lot of moving parts happening at once. Parts that give weight to the story from episode 1 to now, from 2,000 years ago to now. Also, I just want an excuse to talk about this. After Eren gets his head decapitated like butter by Mikasa. Oh, by the way, this isn't the first time an Ackerman decapitates a Jaeger. That's Ackerman's 2, Jaeger's 0. After the heartbreaking and infamous death of Eren Jaeger, Mikasa holds up the decapitated head of the boy she loved most, and gives Eren his first and last kiss. I think it's pretty safe to say Eren died with his chastity, but that's not important. We are then teleported to a dreamlike flashback with Armin and Eren on the dock they used to hang around as kids. They're not actually kids though. Eren is communicating to Armin through memory-like sequences using his abilities of the Founding and Attack Titan. He purposely chose the nostalgic setting of the dock to talk to Armin, because it was here where both he and Armin were most happy, before they knew any of the tragedy outside the walls. In real time, Eren is visiting Armin while he is asleep on the boat, halfway through the rumbling, which is a key thing a lot of people have been missing. This conversation is before the rumbling finishes killing 80% of humanity and babies are crowd surfing like Astroworld. This conversation is also sometime during Eren's freedom speech, where he appears as a kid. He then explains to Armin his motives for the horrible things he did or will soon commit in the near future. Eren explains to Armin his reasons for beating him up, and that awful scene with Mikasa, which by the way might be one of the hardest watches in television history. Eren, knowing the future of his destined fate that he cannot change, tells Armin that the reason he eventually commits genocide through the rumbling was that he could portray himself as humanity's greatest enemy, and Armin and the rest of the gang would be the ones to kill him, ultimately crowning them as the saviors of humanity, hoping that it would bring peace. Whether Eren really wanted to or not, whether it guaranteed peace or not, this was the predetermined fate that had to happen, that Eren was born into this world to do ever since he opened his eyes as a newborn. His whole life was leading up to this, and he knew that his demise would be by the hands of his friends. Armin tells him, Eren gets up and leaves, taking Armin to the places they dreamed of exploring as kids through Armin's books, the places that made them want to leave the walls in the first place. Eren explains the history of Ymir and tells Armin that Mikasa would eventually be the one to save the world by freeing Ymir from her Stockholm Syndrome towards King Fritz. Eren, however, didn't know how Mikasa would do it. He just knew he needed to reach that point, and that was by killing a lot of people. Eren knew that the end-all be-all would result in him dying and the world being rid of Titans. It was at this point that Eren reveals to Armin, Unlocking the full ability of time and space made Eren crazy. He explains that he was the one to go back in time to make sure his mom got eaten, because if his mom didn't die, then younger Eren would never have the motivation to kill all the Titans and join the Survey Corps, and Attack on Titan would have never happened. This was his canon event, and it needed to happen. In this case, Eren was the one to kill his mother from the future. We then go to the ocean, the freest place they could think of, ultimately kicking off the most important scene in the show up to now.
何が？
ミカサのことだよ。エレンのことを忘れて誰かと幸せに生きていけると思う？君が望んだ通りに。
さあ、わかんねえ。
わかんねえじゃないだろ！僕は許した覚えはないぞ！ミカサの恋心を無限にしたことはどう思ってるんだ！命がけでずっとエレンだけを見てきたミカサに俺のことは忘れろで済まされると思っているのか！少なくともミカサはこんな女泣かせのことは忘れて幸せになるべきだね。まあ案外すぐにいい人見つけてあっさりくっつく気もするな。
やだ、そんなのやだ。ミカサに男ができるなんて一生俺だけを思っててほしい。俺が死んだ後もしばらく10年以上は引きずっててほしい。
Ladies and gentlemen, the mask has been removed. Up until now, Eren Yeager was the most feared man in the world, a stoic, cold-hearted manipulator with little regard for human life, including his friends. The complete opposite of what he used to be before he was corrupted by the memories of the future. Armin was the one to do it. He brought back the Eren we all know and love. The bratty, brash, and bolsterous little shit we all know him for.
たくね、ミカサとみんなと一緒にいたい。
He was human again. In fact, deep down inside, Eren was still a kid, like me and every other teenager in the world. And what follows is the most tragic cry for help in the entire show. A beautifully crafted scene from the nostalgic OST to the guttural voice acting as the vast blue ocean turns to blood, leaving us with a sense of dread. Your best friend, who you grew up with, laughed with, cried with, and even fought with, telling you that he would murder 80% of the population. You would be enraged at your friend, horrified at the very thought. You would try to stop him with every bone in your body from committing tragedy. In this case, Armin was too, but instead of anger, he was moved to tears because the world of Attack on Titan was already a tragic place, and he knew there was nothing he could do. Eren knew there was nothing he could do. He also knew that he wouldn't even be able to wipe out everyone. Maybe for a short while there will be peace, but Eren knew that the cycle of war will never truly stop. It was mankind's greatest fault. So how does Eren respond to his best friend's cry for help? Well, Eren replies in the most inhumane but human way possible.
俺は平らにしたかったんだ。この景色が見たかった。
なんで？
なんでかわからねえけど、やりたかったんだ。どうしても。全てはお前らを守るためだって思ってた。だが、サシャもハンジさんも俺のせいで死んで、フロックたちと殺し合いまでさせることになった。どうしてこうなったのか、やっとわかった。バカだからだ。どこにでもいるありふれたバカが力を持っちまった。だからこんな結末を迎えることしかできなかった。そういうことだろう。
Eren was always Eren. One of the saddest quotes upon reflection was when Eren's mother said, "He was special because he was born into this world." Which hurts more now knowing that Eren was the tragic kind of special. Someone who was a slave to freedom the moment he was born. Eren figured this out as soon as he kissed Astoria's hand. No matter the stone-cold facade he tried to mask himself in, or how much he tried to change, Eren was who he always was. A rageful idiot by very nature. Someone who resorted to violence to solve all of his problems. He tried to convince himself that he was doing it for his friends, but as soon as his friends started dying, his mind became more jumbled. It didn't matter how he felt. He just knew that certain things had to happen, and he hated himself for it. Eren Yeager hated himself. He never wanted to do this. If he had free will, he would choose to live alongside his friends, protecting them every step of the way. But that's not the case here. Or will it ever be? It was either Marley commit genocide, or Eren commit genocide and free the world of Titans. It was either he run away with Mikasa, she confesses, or carry out the rumbling. Eren's actions are irredeemable. He isolated his sins from everyone knowing they wouldn't understand his pain, pushing even his closest friends away, including the girl he loved. Everyone except Armin. What follows is why I made this video in the first place. It is the reason many of us love the show. It gave us fans a dialogue we didn't know we needed in a time of dread and despair. An emotion I can't even describe. An emotion different than love. Stronger than love. Something that transcends the life we live on Earth. Armin assured his best friend that he would be there for him, no matter what, since he played a role in shaping who Eren was. It was Armin that motivated the idea of freedom beyond the walls, a dream they both shared when they were little. Armin knew he wasn't clean either. He had killed thousands of people, killing innocent people, evil people. Both have done horrific things fighting for what they thought was right. Their suffering was their bond. Armin made Eren realize that in a cruel world, the relationships and connections we make with people are what gives our lives meaning. And that's beautiful. Sometimes it's the little things in life. What Eren needed most in this moment was a sense of acceptance for who he was, being that he constantly felt that he wasn't in control of his own life. Armin told Eren that he would go to hell with him, not knowing that this would be the last conversation he would ever have with him, which on the surface is not a pleasant thing to hear. No one wants to hear that you will rot in hell with someone else by your side. But in the world of Attack on Titan, where everyone has sinned through endless cycles of hate and bloodshed, this is the strongest expression of friendship anyone could ever say. Eren, knowing the future, embraces his best friend and tells him their next meeting will be a fight to the death. Eren states that he will be erasing Armin's memories of this entire interaction and will only remember them after Eren dies. Armin acknowledges that this is the last time he sees his friend and promises that no matter what happens, they will find some way to be together forever, solidifying their bond and giving Eren the best send-off he could ever ask for. The next time Armin sees Eren, Eren will be dead.
アルミンも記憶が戻ったんでしょう。エレンが私たちに会いに来ていた時の。
聞いたよ。ミカサがもたらした選択の結果が巨人の力をこの世から消し去ることになるって。
I couldn't have written the scene better if I had a 1-year head start. Man, that scream. I gotta see Armin's voice actor for that amazing performance. I know crying as a man is hard up. Oh, watching this, I had no idea what Armin was going to say to his best friend, who ends up murdering billions. What he delivers is the most powerful thing anyone has ever said to Eren. It made Eren's tragic life meaningful, knowing that he still had his friends with him forever to the very end. Also, keep in mind, this was not how it was in the manga. In the original manga, Armin never mentioned hell. He simply just congratulated Eren for being a mass murderer for their sake, which is just despicable and not what Eren needed in the moment. The whole thing just fell really flat. Knowing this, Hajime and Isayama added the hell dialogue in the anime, making their embrace and the ending as a whole that much better. It was the closure that fans have been chasing, bringing the ending from an 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10.
エレン、もうすぐみんなが会いに来るよ。嬉しいでしょ。
Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I put a lot of time into it, and let me tell you, these types of videos are not the easiest to make. Now, if you made it this far, it's either because you know me in real life, or I somehow managed to keep you entertained for 20 minutes with my super charming voice. I'm not even an anime YouTuber, hence why my equipment is so subpar. Like, I'm not even using a microphone right now. My original wireless microphone broke down before, like today. It broke down literally a few minutes ago. I'm recording just using the phone audio. I'm recording with the phone. So we're still going with what we have. I'm sorry for not a lot of jokes or lack of jokes throughout the video. I decided I would take a more analytical approach when making this. and this video is just something I wanted to get out there, just because of how much I love the show. So if I did a good job, please let me know in the comments, and I hope I could do the show justice in any way. I never got to say, but thank you guys so much for over 100 subscribers. It means a lot to me. As far as the channel goes, I'm willing to try my hand in a variety of content, and that includes anime videos too. I might do more Attack on Titan, I might not, but one thing's for sure is I will tell my grandchildren about Eren Yeager.